Welcome to The Other Discovery Show, the podcast that's not about other podcasts. It's about all the other things we discovered this week. I'm Josh.
I'm Kirk.
And I am Zach.
So this week, we're bringing you guys a new segment, Discover Florida. We want everyone to share in the beauty and the wonder and just the pure heaven that is the beautiful state of Florida. So we wanted to share a couple of stories with you guys and just let you know just the true beauty of the state of Florida that you don't really get unless you live here.
Yeah, so I'll start out. There was something that I saw that I thought was very beautiful about Florida. So I was just going through the news articles, and I found one from Fox News, fair and balanced, right? And so they said about Florida, this article, and it said, suspect steals gun during anonymous masked orgy in Florida. So a suspect stole a gun during an anonymous masked orgy last month in Central Florida, right down the road from where we live. And sheriff deputies have said they have no leads because everyone was wearing masks. So whoever was hosting this orgy with, I don't know if these people, it was like, okay, so it was like an eyes wide shut type thing, I guess.
Does it
Everyone was
specify
wearing
what
masks?
kind of masks?
I don't know if it does.
Second question, did he steal it or was it a party favor? Because I feel like if I'm going to have party favors at my masked orgies,
Maybe
guns is probably top on the list.
So I have seen billboards here in the Sunshine State, the beautiful Sunshine State, that say the Gunshine State because there's so many guns here. So maybe it was someone thought that it was a party favor. You're
Florida party
right.
favors,
You're
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Go
but
to a party, get a gun.
apparently this happened in Deltona, Florida, about 30 miles away from Orlando, which is near where we're at right now. And so I guess the host of the party left his pistol out on his dresser. And since everybody was just kind of having a great time in all of the different rooms and every nook and cranny you could possibly get into.
He's talking about the rooms.
Yeah. He later on found out that his gun was no longer on his nightstand. So if you come to Florida, you might get an amazing party favor that might be a 99mm Glock.
And it's on somebody's nightstand. And
So now you've discovered something about Florida.
So one of the other beautiful things about Florida is the wildlife. So there is apparently a three-legged bear. It says it's loose, but it lives where it's supposed to live out in the world. But he's loose in a Florida neighborhood, and there's an article about how to protect your trash because apparently bears like eating trash because there's all the goodies in there for them.
Smells good probably to them.
And so basically it's an injured bear. It's walking with a limp. And the residents were calling the Florida Wildlife Commission to say, hey, can you get this bear out of here? And they're like, no, he lives there. Deal with it. Just protect your trash. And basically they said normally he would be in the woods, but it's mating season. And so he's out roaming around in their neighborhood.
What is their tip for protecting the trash? Okay, so the reason I'm asking is recently I got a puppy, so I have to take him out like really early in the morning. And I was out the other day on a trash night, and it was like 4 a.m., and my trash can was knocked over, and there was a lot of noise coming out of it because there was a raccoon in there. And I'm like, well, dang it, now I got to clean all this up the next day. So if the lid doesn't keep a bear out, what are you supposed to do? Because I put the lid on, and it didn't work, so I just leave it in the garage till the next morning. So what is the tip for keeping a bear out of your trash?
You put something that smells like the bear's natural predator in your trash.
What's the bear's natural predator?
Sharks.
That's just science, guys.
So shark spray. So in addition to the wonderful wildlife here, the wonderful weather. Recently, there was a lightning strike in Florida that hit a septic tank in a home in Port Charlotte, and it exploded the woman's toilet. So there's a picture here, and it's linked in the show notes. That toilet is exploded, like blown up, like someone hit it with dynamite. Exploded toilet.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So lightning will strike your toilet or your septic tank, make your toilets explode. Hopefully you're not in it, dropping a deuce.
And this actually segues perfectly. I was watching a thunderstorm the other day, and I don't know, I'm sure I learned this in school, but it was a long time ago. But I was like, what is happening during these thunderstorms? Because it was a crazy one.
I know.
It was shaking the roof, and it was nuts outside. So I was like, okay, I'm going to just look this up again. So I found an article on weather.gov. Obviously, I'll put this in the show notes. Okay, so it all starts with when the air gets warm here, it starts to rise into the atmosphere. And as it does that, once it gets into the upper levels of the sky, it starts to form cumulus clouds. And so you'll start to see big clouds forming. And as these continue to heat, they keep growing taller, and then they call those towering cumulus. And then you'll start to see them, they turn darker gray and everything like that. And then it starts to get more and more charged up, and there starts to be precipitation in the actual cloud itself. And because they're very cold up there, that then turns into small ice crystals and small hail in the middle of the cloud. And all of these things are causing collisions between everything else. And because of these collisions, there starts to become an electric charge in the cloud. And that is the first kind of stages for lightning. As the ice crystals become positively charged, they're carried upward and by the air. And then the heavier hail gets negatively charged and is suspended in rising air or falls towards the lower part of the storm. And then once again, these collisions that are happening cause it to keep becoming charged, more and more charged. And then a small positive charge develops near the bottom of the thunderstorm cloud, and the negative charge in the middle of the thunderstorm cloud causes the ground underneath to become positively charged. So then that's how this is all happening. The cloud is charged, and what it's going to do is it's going to try and arc. So just like when you plug in your laptop into the wall, as soon as there's a close enough connection with a strong enough amount of charge, it will arc. And that is what you're seeing with lightning. It will jump from the cloud to the ground, but it can also jump within the cloud itself. So it'll jump from the negative to the positive within the cloud, or it can go straight to the ground. And that's basically what you're seeing. And thunder is the sound made by a flash of lightning, but it's because as the lightning goes through the air, it heats it really, really quickly, and it creates a sound wave. And it's just one of those things where you get so used to it, but there's lightning. They call us the lightning capital of the world, but we are not. There is a place, I believe, in South America that has more lightning strikes, but we're the lightning capital of North America for sure. And so it's just one of those things where I had seen so much lightning that I'd kind of forgotten where it was, but essentially just all of the action going on in a cloud creates electric charges that arc to the ground or arc within the cloud, and that is how you get lightning.
So it's very similar to the science from when we were in high school or middle school and we'd scoot our butts on the chairs a lot and then touch something metal and it would make that little spark, right?
A cloud is just scooting its butt on the chair.
Exactly.
And then the ground is the chair.
See, now I understand
Or the metal.
it. You had to explain it that way. Now I get it.
Okay.
Now, why is there no thunder when I do that?
Booty lightning.
Booty lightning. That was Kirk's nickname in high school, right?
It was.
That's not too incorrect. that's fairly close. But yeah, something I learned about Florida. So that is our beautiful Discover Florida. I hope you like our new segment. Next week we'll give you some more things that you can discover in Florida if you decide to come visit. Do you guys know who Ray Bradbury is?
Fahrenheit 451, right?
Yep, Fahrenheit 451, The Martian Chronicles, Something Wicked This Way Comes. He's a writer. He kind of writes science fiction, horror, kind of a little bit of mystery, fantasy stuff. Anyway, I think his probably most notable book is Fahrenheit 451. It's a very good book. I have read it. It has to do with kind of like censorship, essentially. And anyway, the today I learned that I found was that Ray Bradbury took 9 days to write his novella called The Fireman in the basement of the UCLA library on a typewriter rented for 10 cents for 30 minutes. After being urged by his publisher, he returned to the basement, got to work, and expanded that short story into his book Fahrenheit 451, which also only took 9 days to write. So he wrote his most famous book in a basement for, in like 18 days?
Yeah.
That's insane.
That is pretty quick.
I didn't realize it was the same guy that wrote Fahrenheit 451 that wrote The Martian Chronicles.
Yeah. And I've read both of them. He's an amazing writer. Everything I've read from him so far has been so good. It's a completely different way of writing than I don't even know how to explain it. He kind of like set the stage for a lot of the current day sci-fi stuff that's being written now. But he has like a little bit of horror in there. I don't know. He just kind of like blended the three together, like sci-fi, fantasy, and horror in one genre. I really liked what he did.
Yeah, that's incredible that he was able to write it that fast. One thing I discovered this week, it's actually kind of a couple things. So I saw this, I guess it was like a documentary video on YouTube, and it's called Meet the Mennonites Behind One of the World's Best Syrups. And so I was thinking maple syrup. It is not. It is sorghum syrup.
Sorghum.
And first of all, do you guys know what sorghum is?
Yeah,
Kind
that's
of.
what they make that drink we talked about last week.
Yeah.
Baijiu.
Yes, but
make it out of
sorghum
sorghum.
it's a cereal grain, so it's kind of like corn, it's kind of like wheat, but it's not the same. And it's really similar in a lot of ways to sugarcane, but it's got more of a bitterness to it rather than just kind of the hard sweetness of sugarcane. And so these Mennonites, first of all, I'll link all of this stuff in the show notes because you should definitely watch this documentary. The guy who's talking about it, it's like their family profession. And they have always done sorghum syrup, and they go through, and they were Mennonites. So apparently when some of them were teenagers, they started kind of transitioning them towards technology. So originally it was all hand tools, things like that. And then some teenagers got upset with the kind of the policy there. They were like, nope, we're going to go get some chainsaws. And that was the beginning of their transition into modern technology. And not that they're like using anything crazy, but they're using tractors and they've elevated kind of their production.
Yeah, using things to make them more efficient in what they're doing.
Sure. And so he is very passionate about making this syrup because as he's talking about the whole thing, he talks about his family doing it. He talks about how much he loves it. He is literally describing everything, and you see him walk in with a plate of his breakfast and just dump syrup all over the whole plate, basically. He's like, oh, yeah. And
Is it like Buddy the Elf from Elf? He's just pouring syrup on his spaghetti and everything?
It looked like meat. So I don't know. I don't know. He just poured
So he was
syrup.
pouring it on meat?
Yeah, that's what it looked like. You guys should check out the video. It's awesome.
All right.
But
Breakfast meat and syrup is good.
But I think this one is more, it has like a slight bitterness to it. It's not as sweet as some of the traditional stuff, especially like corn syrup and things like that. Because, I don't know if you guys knew this, but if you don't get something that says 100% maple syrup, it's corn syrup that's flavored like maple.
A lot of honey is like
Oh, yeah, I've heard that.
weird corn syrup mixtures too, and honey flavored.
It's cheaper to just use corn syrup and then flavor it towards whatever. So you have to kind of be careful. That's why you'll see very expensive 100% maple syrup is because it's actually
Actual
from
syrup,
a maple
yeah.
tree. So that's one of the things there. But basically, he's gone through and he kind of walks you through the whole process of making it. And it looks a lot like sugarcane. There's a couple interesting differences. Like, do you guys know what molasses is? This took me on a whole journey of like, I didn't know what any of this stuff was.
I don't know the difference between syrup and molasses, I'll be honest.
Okay, so here is what the difference between sorghum syrup and molasses is molasses is when they're taking the granulated sugar out of cane sugar. So they mash sugar cane, they boil it, and that will separate the granulated from, I think they call it the first press molasses. And with sorghum, he apparently says that you will not pull granulated sugar from it. You just keep it going and it just forms a syrup. So he kind of walks through this whole process. It's very kind of like artisan video style where it's really interesting to look at it. He's working on a farm. He's doing interesting things. And then it just all comes down to somebody who's really passionate about making something special.
So, my segment that I've done a few times, the bad business ideas. So I found one. It wasn't really a business idea. I'd say it was a bad advertisement idea, and it was genius in a bad way. And it was by IKEA. So IKEA ran an ad that encouraged women to pee on it. Okay, so it was an ad that asked you to pee on it, and it doubled as a pregnancy test. And if the woman was pregnant, it would reveal a special discounted price for cribs.
But then you have to carry the pee ad to go get it, right?
It's okay. So this is one of those things. It's like, it's so cool, so innovative, and so horribly weird that it's like, where does it fit? Like, I
think it's fine.
All right, whatever. I think it's a bad ad idea.
If I worked at IKEA and somebody handed me something that they peed on and be like, give me my discount, I'd be like, no.
You keep that. I will take your word for
just
it.
read the numbers off of it. Keep it over there.
Yeah, it's like,
Read the
you
numbers
hold
off of it.
that
I don't
and
wanna
you
hold your
keep
P
it.
card.
I don't want it.
I'm assuming that it wasn't like just a giant piece of paper and they just peed all over the piece of paper. And
It was
brought in
literally a newspaper they peed all over.
Soggy, floppy piece of paper. I'm assuming that didn't happen. But
It's a piece of paper with a code at the bottom that if you pee on.
No, it was exactly what I assumed it wasn't. That's fair.
Yeah, it's a giant piece of paper.
Yeah, like if you printed out something on your computer printer, that's basically about what it looks like. So I read an article. The cast of The Office is revealing their all-time favorite episodes. So they talked to some of the cast of The Office.
Nice.
And they talked about like what episodes they loved either filming or what like kind of have a special place to them. And the article starts off and it has like a little intro and it says, "Warning, spoilers ahead." I'm like, The Office hasn't been on the air for like 4
Get out of
years.
here.
Okay. But one of the ones was Dinner Party in season 4.
Oh, sure.
Class, that one.
Absolutely phenomenal.
Wait, who said that? Does it say like who picked which episode?
It's an all-time favorite of many cast members. They said it was so hilarious to film that the cast barely was able to get through it while filming. It's a personal favorite of Steve Carell. And he said the quote from Steve Carell is, "It turns into a Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf." In there, and he said that like everyone was struggling because everyone was just kind of hysterically laughing the whole time.
It is a ridiculous episode.
So one of the other ones they recommended, and I think this was both Rainn Wilson and Jenna Fisher. This is both of their favorite episodes. It was The Injury. So
that's one of my favorites too, by far.
Oh yeah, it's phenomenal. It's season 2 where Michael cooks his foot,
And then Dwight gets a concussion.
And so it was one of the episodes where Dwight and Pam were able to be friends.
Yeah.
So they both loved that episode because their characters were able to like be friendly.
I think it was their first one where they became like, they're like, are we friends now?
Yeah. And then the one for all of the Jam or Pim or whatever you want to call it fans that love Jim and Pam Casino Night.
Yep.
That's
when they
a
went
pretty
on the
good
casino
episode.
cruise?
No, that's not the cruise.
No,
It's
what was that one then?
That's called the Booze Cruise, right?
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of, the booze cruise.
Casino Nights where they have the casino in the warehouse. And Michael invites Jan and
I remember
his
now.
actual wife, Steve Carell's
Yes.
actual wife, to it. What's her name? I can't remember.
So Ed Helms' personal favorite was the gay witch hunt.
That's a good one.
So a fun fact they have thrown in here that Carell was supposed to just go in for a hug, but instead he surprised the cast by going in for a kiss. So that he improvised that kiss, which was
To me, that's the
horrible
episode.
and amazing all in one.
That whole thing of him trying to kiss Oscar is definitely one of the highlights of that episode.
So I thought it was really interesting to hear them and what they liked and what their favorite episodes were, having filmed all 200 and something episodes. What do you guys have any standout episodes that you think are your all-time favorites?
I mean, honestly, they hit a couple of them. But
Yeah.
my other one that I will definitely always enjoy is The Fight.
Yep.
Where Michael and Dwight go to the dojo to have a fight to see, and Survivor Man is also a
Yep.
really good one.
In the fire drill.
Oh yeah, is it called The Fire?
I don't. It's Stanley has a heart attack. I don't
Yeah,
know
it
what
was.
the name of the
I
episode
literally
is.
remember it was after a Super Bowl.
Yes.
I watched the Super Bowl, and then The Office came on immediately after, and you get that cold open of Dwight doing the fire drill, and Stanley having a heart attack, and Angela throwing a cat through the ceiling.
Yep.
It was.
And then Oscar falling out of the
Yeah,
ceiling.
it was something I will never forget. That pairing of like I watched the Super Bowl and then the most buck wild cold open of The Office.
I love that one, and then I love the one where they come in and do the CPR training, and Dwight cuts
Yes.
the face off of the.
That's
of
the same
dummy.
one.
Is that the same episode?
Yeah, because I think they have to do
Oh, I
CPR
think
training
it
because
is.
Stanley goes down.
I think it is. Oh my goodness!
I think
That's just a good episode.
yeah, it is.
I know it's really early on, but the two that resonate with me as I don't know, they just have this connection with me is the Office Olympics, which is way early on. It
Yep.
was that maybe was the pilot. I don't even know.
It wasn't the pilot, but it was early.
It was
Maybe
very
first
early.
season.
So it was the Office Olympics, and then the diversity training was
Oh my goodness!
so
it's
funny.
so good.
Oh man, such good episodes.
That show was way before its time.
Yeah, that's
It really was.
that's a definitely.
I'm
a good
glad
one.
that people got onto it and really fell in love with it. I think the first season they didn't do well, but then season 2 they caught on.
Well, first one was kind of all of the seasons of the British Office where
Yeah.
they're unlikable. Like it just most of the people in the British Office are kind of unlikable, and that's
Yeah.
kind of what they're playing on. But season 2 of the American Office, they kind of get more likable and they kind of progress that way. But yeah, well, the last discovery for this week is the band, and this band is called the Brother Brothers, which is funny because they are twin brothers from Brooklyn, and it's a really interesting folk style music, and they have absolutely amazing harmony. It's very relaxing. They have great voices and everything. And the song I'm recommending is called The Siren Song, and it's their new single right now that dropped in 2019. Hope you guys enjoy it. As always, let us know if you have any cool discoveries this week. We'd love to hear about it. Let us know on our Facebook group, the Podcast Discovery Club. Let us know on Twitter. Let us know however you can get a hold of us. Tell us. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, and if you're listening to the show and you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. It does a ton for our analytics and just having us kind of show up. So it costs you nothing. Hit that subscribe button. It does a ton for us and costs you nothing. So that's great. Also, we have a Patreon. If you love our show and want to hear more of what we do, we've got some bonus episodes over on the Patreon. Super cheap stuff. So you can go in and throw in a couple bucks a month if you want to continue to support our show.
Yeah, we love you guys. We love making the show. Thank you so much for listening. It means a lot. Have a great week.
Bye-bye.
Whoa, my siren, won't you call? Well, I'm lost. Whoa, whoa. Last that you came was the fall, but that's a long, long time ago. I write my name on the wall. I sit up straight but slowly fall. I fall. The worn out sidewalks know my feet, for I've walked. And up the stairs I retreat, broken walls. Trains they howl through the day. Whoa, my siren, won't you wash my cares away? Whoa. Feral cat, what's your name? Are you lost? Have you got a place to hide away when you're alone? Spring will come before you know. The ice will melt, the food will grow before long. Before long.
This was a podcast from the Podfix Network. You can check out more shows like it at podfixnetwork.com.